Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I try to be as fair as possible to the other side. I want to engage in good faith conversation. I want the left to be on a similar page. Sure, we have disagreements, but if there's a little bit of cohesion, genuinely good discussion between the two sides, it can in certain cases lead to positive outcomes. So I want to give a lot of leftist thought leaders the benefit of the doubt. I want to like people like Bill Maher. I want to be fair and I want to give them credit when they do and say the right thing. But while I've given this guy credit in the past, lately, he is just the worst. Whatever credit I've given this guy, I take it all back. The Trump derangement syndrome runs pretty strong in this one. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Bill Maher just simply can't cope with the idea that Donald Trump is cruising with a substantial lead in the polls heading into the next election. Maybe that's what it is, but of course that isn't an excuse. Bill Maher continues to dig his heels in. He continues to lie and simply say the darnest things. Whatever little bit of good reputation he had left is simply dissipating because of moments like this. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Bill Maher obviously has control over who he allows on his show, and of course, generally, he loves to have all these mainstream media goons and Democrat politicians on, like Adam Schiff and Gavin Newsom, who will spread the message and spread the talking point with little to no pushback. For the most part, that's when Bill Maher is in his comfortable zone. It's easy. Orange man bad. Ha 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 ha. Over and over again for the whole freaking show, but every now and then Bill Maher will invite the other side on his show, and not the Liz Cheney types, not the Adam Kinzingers, but actual based badasses on his show, and that's when it all goes to crap. That's when Bill Maher gets exposed for being the left-wing hack that he really is. And boy, oh boy, his latest show was a freaking horrible train wreck. Bill Maher is such a partisan hack. It's election season, and it seems as though he's devoted himself to pushing nonstop insane copium and shilling for Joe Biden. Here's Bill Maher unable to admit a basic reality, a basic truth.
Do you think the country is better off now than it was 4 years ago? You really can say that with a straight face, that we're doing better now than in 2018, like economically, in terms of this immigration crisis? You think we're doing better now than 4 years ago? Really?
Well, there was a pandemic in the middle of it, which we greatly overreacted to.
And recovered from.
Well, who did that?
Just saying, do you think the country is better off now than it was 4 years ago?
I think there were these two crises. I think there was...
Surprising. Do you?
Two major economic crises in this century. One was the meltdown in 2008. Obama came in, no drama Obama. People like Mitt Romney said, let the auto industry die. The country didn't go into a depression, and it could have with the wrong president. I also think the wrong president, we came back better for the pandemic than any other big boy country in the world. So yes, I do think it matters who the president is.
I'm just saying, do you think we're better off now than 4 years ago?
4 years ago was 2020?
Say 2018.
I don't know. I was wearing a mask.
2018.
I hated my life,
2018. Are we better off now than we were in 2018?
Here's the reality. If you got money,
worse.
We're not worse.
How are we worse? In what way are we so? What's so terrible out there that wasn't happening in 2018?
We ask the American people. Inflation, immigration crisis, 8 million people here who cross here illegally. We don't know who they are. Crimes being committed.
Crimes are being committed
people can't
always.
afford homes because of the high rate, the mortgage rates.
Well,
if
immigration
Trump would have built the wall, maybe all these people wouldn't be coming over illegally.
Right.
Oh, so you support building the wall?
I'm just saying.
Bill's confused. He doesn't get it. Well, who isn't confused? The American people aren't confused. When asked the question, are you better off now than you were before? A large majority of the American public responds no. It's no surprise why. The Democrats are celebrating new historic highs in the stock market. The S&P 500 hits a new all-time high. They love pointing to economic indicators that they think makes them look good, but the S&P 500 rising in an era of horrible, out-of-control inflation isn't exactly something to write home about. The rich getting richer, the asset class who's bought into these markets, seeing big gains, doesn't affect the average person. That used to be a Democrat talking point whenever Donald Trump would tout his economic success. But now all of a sudden, apparently, the stock market is the end-all be-all. Remember when Joe Biden said this?
The stock market, the last guy's measure of everything, is about 20% higher than it was when my predecessor was there. It has hit record after record after record on my watch.
It's funny how that was a criticism back then, but now Joe Biden and the Democrats are engaging in the same behavior that they accused Republicans of engaging in, except the only difference is, back then, there was reason to celebrate the S&P 500 breaking historic highs because inflation was below 2%. Wages were up, people were doing well, taxes were down. Now we're living in an environment where the middle class is being squeezed. The lower class has significantly less ability to move upward. To save enough money to buy a home, groceries are incredibly expensive. Gas is still significantly more expensive than it was. Interest rates are high. Insurance cost is through the roof. It's become nearly impossible for people at the bottom of the economic scale to enjoy a basic, comfortable standard of living. That is the reality, and people know this. But apparently Bill Maher doesn't. Apparently, Bill Maher would rather stick his head in the sand because Orange Man bad. He would rather refuse to acknowledge the basic reality that most people are living through. Not exactly a great election strategy, but most importantly, it shows you exactly who Bill Maher is. He's an elitist Democrat shill who doesn't actually care about people. That's why it was so easy back in the day for him to say this.
I feel like the bottom has to fall out at some point. And by the way, I'm hoping for it because I think one way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy. So please bring on the recession.
You know, just casually calling for a recession. Listen, okay, as long as we get the Orange Man out, I'm willing to take a recession, okay? Okay, Bill Maher, we get it. It's very easy for you to say that when you're worth, what, tens of millions of dollars. And of course, when your entire worldview is inherently selfish.
What I think we disagree a lot on is that you think family and faith are a big fix to the problems we have. I mean, I don't have a family, and I definitely don't have faith. So
you're definitely not part of the solution.
Maybe I am.
No,
That was another moment from the same panel show, by the way. Dr. Phil tells Bill Maher straight to his face, well, you're part of the problem. But the point that I'm trying to draw from that clip is that Bill Maher has no stake in the future. Bill Maher is selfish. He only cares about himself, his own, let's call them Hollywood escapades, being in the club, smoking joints with celebrities. He's always talking about how much he hates children. He hates kids.
Everybody hates kids. They really do. They're feral, they're obnoxious, they're entitled. Nobody wants kids, or if I have one, I don't want another one.
And so, yeah, no wonder Bill Maher is able to so shamelessly shill for Joe Biden, even though the last 3 years have been an absolute train wreck for the average American person. Because he doesn't care, it doesn't affect him. Inflation benefits Bill Maher. He's got all kinds of investment accounts and properties. Well, when the powers that be print trillions of dollars, all to be handed to the banks, to then be handed to the top investor class, if you own property, if you own stocks, if you own luxury goods, you stand to benefit, and the average person gets crushed. If a recession hits, the average person gets wrecked, but rich elitist Hollywood liberals like Bill Maher essentially double their net worth. It's crazy, but the mere presence of Donald Trump exposes people like Bill Maher for who they are. He'd rather focus on a personal vendetta that he has against Donald Trump because of the lawsuits and everything that's gone on. He'd rather dig into his personal feelings and personal relationship with the man. Deny reality because his ego is too big to accept that Joe Biden is trash and Donald Trump is objectively better. And of course, he's way too out of touch with the average person to be able to see what it's like to be able to relate to regular people issues. In other words, he's your typical elitist Democrat shill. I like to think at one point that Bill Maher was different from Jake Tapper, or really any left-wing mainstream media host, but at the core, he's essentially the same. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.